Inside the winner's circle, guys, we do one thing, and we do it really, really well. We systematically and we incrementally stack small wins so we can create massive momentum forward towards our highest sales potential. When you deposit these small wins, this allows us to have massive momentum into the future of your own sales identity and your business. This is why we work. This is why we train. And this is why we practice our sales skill sets so we can become better, be better. And in order to become better, we have to sacrifice short-term gratification for the long-term betterment of ourselves, our careers, and the ones we love, so you can create an extraordinary life, a life of success, a life of choice, a life of free will. Now, money can't buy you happiness, but money can give you freedom of choice. And what I know about human beings is the more choices that you have to solve a problem in your life, the happier you're going to be. So what we want to do on Mondays is we want to set the week off right. We want to execute and apply what we learn so we can create momentum in our lives by being, 1, actionable, by being 2, coachable, and doing what is required. That is what is the most important thing here. I don't want you to do your best. Your best right now isn't good enough. You have to do what is required. You have to AQ. You have to be constantly acquiring knowledge. That's why I've created this podcast. And then discover and declare. I want you to AQ, and then I want you to immediately take action and discover and declare. This is how we bridge the gap. Right now, there's a gap from where you currently are, but you prefer not to be in your sales ability, in your sales confidence. Then there's a desired state. This is the vision and the sales identity that you know you can achieve. That's already inside of you. My job as your sales coach is to shorten that gap as quickly and as easily as possible. Again, this is why we use momentum. The momentum is going to create inertia. The inertia is going to create power forward in your life. We do this so we can radically change our sales ability. If you're going to get on your call, if you're going to get on your meet and greet, if you're going to get on your discovery and do the same things that you've always been doing, you are going to get the same result. Now, unless you're making $500,000 to $1 million plus a year in commissions or in your business, you probably don't have enough. I can tell you, $250,000, $350,000, you may think that's a lot of money, but it's not enough. It's not enough in today's world. It's just not. And so we have to create an internal frame that is connected to who we are and how we show up on a daily basis when it comes to running our business, getting on our sales calls, getting on our Zoom calls, when we're shaking hands, when we're walking through the door of the opportunity that we are seeking to close. We have to shift our state. We have to show up and be in the mindset of a world-class leader. And what we teach here on the Close One Academy is an algorithm. It's a formula for sales achievement and sales success. By implementing this framework, you're going to become an obstacle immune individual. So when things do go bad, and it's not always happy days and glory days in our business and our sales processes, you keep moving forward. You don't let the objection, you don't let the no, you don't let being ghosted rip through your hierarchy of values and beliefs. This is how we're going to keep moving forward and make a promise to ourselves with our new sales identity that we're going to chase sales excellence in our life. No longer are we going to be afraid of the word no. You've heard that word 300 to 400 times when you were 3, 4, and 5 years old a day. You've been conditioned to hate that word. There's a lot of neurotic and negative emotions that come up when you're told no, when you're given an objection, when someone ghosts you, when someone doesn't show up to the call. We have to stop that. I want you to feel compelled to wake up and attack your business and attack what you know is capable. Now, here's the deal, guys. Sales knowledge is perishable. If you're not using it, you're losing it. Sales knowledge must be applied. Again, the discover and declare. We have to apply this knowledge. And this podcast is about giving you the information. It's about giving you the frameworks. It's about giving you the processes and the education that you need, but also the application, the tools, the trackers, the resources, the scripts needed to create radical change in your life. I know this. I know sales can change your life forever. It's changed my life. It's been the only job that I've ever known since the day I graduated college. I'm going to, with my 20 years of experience, teach you how to stack sales wins daily, create momentum towards your highest sales self, and find the meaning that sustains you in life, because you're going to be able to impact more lives. I'm here for all the people that you're about to get on the phone, all the new clients you're about to sign up. I'm thankful for the impact that you're going to create in the future. Sales is one of the most rewarding careers. Being your own entrepreneur, your own solopreneur, it's one of the most rewarding careers that you can have. One of my favorite books is The Billionaire Effect. In that book, it states that 75% of billionaires' first job was in sales, being paid commission. Because you have to learn how to swim in a sea of rejection. If you can learn how to do that in your career, what else could you apply that to? Let me remind you that the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your relationships. The quality of your relationships is dependent on the quality of your communication. You've been selling your whole entire life. Since the moment you were born, you were selling the doctor to stop spanking your rear end. When you were a little toddler, you were persuading and influencing your parents to feed you and buy you toys. When you became a teenager, you were persuading and communicating and influencing your parents to buy you a car, to let you hang out with your friends, to go to that party. When you were in high school, you were persuading your teachers to give you a better grade. If you did go to college, you were persuading your professor. When you got your first job and when you're in your career, you're persuading and influencing and selling your boss in the company to give you a raise. You're selling in everything that you do in life. That's why you have to apply this knowledge and turn it into information that cannot be ignored. Learning has to lead to actions, ladies and gentlemen. It has to. The key isn't to have access to better information. It's, again, turning this information into information that you cannot ignore. At Close One Academy, I will help you get more. I will help you get faster and better sales results. I will give you the actionable steps daily that you need to take in order to start signing up more clients, making more commission, making more revenue in your business, and creating the freedom of life that you want. In order to do this, you have to master the science of achievement. When you master the science of achievement, when you figure out how to break the algorithm, then we're going to master the art of fulfillment. That's what we want to do. So on Mondays, we ask ourselves, what do I want? What do I want from my next sales call? What do I want from the next appointment that I booked this week? But more importantly, why do you want it? Why is it important? If you can close that next big deal, if you can have a record-setting month, quarter, year, who is that going to impact? What's their name? Stop doing this for you and start doing it for them. Then ask yourselves, how can I achieve it? Are you busting out your calendar? Are you putting 3 to 5 days on your calendar where you're actually practicing and rehearsing your pitch, your introduction, your qualification and connecting questions? Are you practicing your transition? Do you even have a transition? Do you even ask permission before you pitch? Do you properly know how to self-persuade someone so that when you do give the price, the answer is yes, Nick, this is worth the price. And what we have to do in order to become better in our sales career, as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, as coaches, we have to create a plan. There needs to be a plan. There needs to be a commitment to a schedule in the plan so you can train. Then we execute and we achieve that plan. When we achieve that plan, we don't celebrate every small little victory and start self-sabotaging. We only celebrate the massive wins. The small wins are what is required, but you're not going to celebrate them. You have a record-setting month, quarter, year, you close the biggest deal of your life, then good. Celebrate that. But let me ask you right now, what is your ultimate vision for your career? Did you get closer to it last week? What did you do to get closer to it? If you did nothing, then, I wonder what the problem is. So we need to assess every single Monday when we build our Monday momentum. We have to audit the previous week. What happened that was a win in my sales processes? What happened last week that was a loss that I need to get better at? And then finally, what am I going to do about it this week? How do I duplicate those successes? How do I make sure I avoid those losses? These are the 3 questions of your destiny for your career. You have to be asking these every single Monday. Now, guys, we do have some dues that have to be paid. I'll never run ads on this podcast. I do this for free. I do the audio, I do the video, I do the graphics, I upload, I do it all myself, so I can pay it forward from my mentors, from the men and women that believed in me, from the men and women that gave me an opportunity. I need to pay it forward. So I have a simple question. Would you help someone that you've never met? Even if you don't make money from helping them and you never got credit for it. If you're the type of person that believes in a communitarian approach to self-development and you believe when you help others get what they want, you will get what you want inevitably. If you're that type of person, if so, I have an ask on the behalf of someone that you do not know and that you will never likely meet. Right now, they're just like you, or they were like you a few years ago. Less experienced in sales, full of desire to change their life and change their income, seeking information, but not quite sure where to look. This is where you come in. This is where I need you. The only way for the Close One Academy to accomplish our mission of making top-notch sales education available for everyone and showing others how to change their sales identity by stacking of your sales wins daily is that we first have to reach them. And the fact is, guys, most people do in fact judge a book by its cover or the reviews. So if you could just take a brief moment out of your day, a brief moment, I'm talking 30 to 45 seconds. If you can get on your phone or your computer, wherever you're listening this at, and just leave an honest review. Just leave an honest review of this podcast and its contents. I would be highly, highly rewarded from it. It would mean a lot to me. Guys, this costs you $0. In less than 60 seconds, your review or share of this podcast will help one more person who's desperately trying to change their career, their lives of themselves, and his or her family. So I highly appreciate it, guys, in advance. Now, just like we had 6 core tenets for the Closed One or the Circle of W podcast, we also have the same 6 core tenets for Closed One Academy. And guys, why does Nick go over these every single podcast? Because it takes someone 6 to 7 times for them to hear it, for that to finally sink in. What are the core tenets of your business? What are the core tenets of your sales team? What are the core tenets of yourself? If you don't have any, then adopt these. These have to become law in your life if you want to radically change your business, your team, yourself, your sales identity. First and foremost, you have to choose to win today and only today. You're not a time traveler. Whatever happened yesterday doesn't matter. Whatever might happen in the future, it doesn't matter. You've only ever lived right now in the present moment, today. Choose to win today. You must then make a promise that is bigger than your own wants, needs, and desires for your business. What is that promise? What are you willing to do? What promise are you unwilling to break in order to get better, to achieve the revenue levels, to achieve the success, to achieve the impact that you so badly desire? What is that promise? That promise for me is, God, if you give me a second chance at life, I promise you, I will use my few skill sets that you have given me, the couple of gifts that you have given me to serve and impact others. I've made massive changes in my life this year in order to keep that promise. This is your purpose. This is the meaning that sustains you in life. Are you a promise breaker? If so, that's going to crush your identity and it's going to ruin your reputation. Next, you must accept and adopt the philosophy that your lack of your best hurts everyone that you love. You got to build your empire, baby, brick by brick. You got to be willing to put in the work. If you want the best for the ones that you love, then you have to become better. You have to do what is required to become the best version of yourself. And if you're not where you currently want to be at in your life, then you need to do better. Next, you will never lie to the person staring back at you in the mirror. No matter how bad the criticism might be from a boss or a coworker or from a lead prospect or from a client, you will allow the positive intention of that criticism to burn everything inside of you that is not worthy of your highest self. You allow the dead wood to burn. By allowing the dead wood to burn, you are in fact going to have a regrowth and a regeneration and build better pieces of yourself. The truth must burn up everything inside of you that is not worthy of your highest potential, your highest business acumen, your highest sales acumen. If you want to impact more lives, if you want to command more revenue, if you want to make more money, more commission, then allow the dead wood to burn. Next, you will run up the score in life, business, relationships. Look, this isn't an option. It's not an option. It's a requirement. It's okay to run up the score 100-0. When you're winning, that's when you need to be working harder. You put that gas pedal all the way down to the ground. I want it to go through the damn floorboard. You run up the score in your business. You run up the score in your life and your personal development. There is no mercy rule here. You keep on moving forward. Lastly, the one that always means the most to me. You will seek answers first and not emotions. Sales, again, you have to learn how to swim in a sea of rejection, constantly being told no. The average close rate in sales is 20 to 30%. If you're a top-notch sales executive or sales professional, you might have 40, 50% close percentage. So you're getting rejected anywhere from 80 to 50% of the time. And if you allow those emotions, again, to rip through your hierarchy of self-worth, then you are going to be in a lot of trouble. You're not going to grow your business. You're not going to grow your skill set. You're going to be back doing this job, working for someone else that you don't even want to work for, doing things that you don't want to do. That is not a life of freedom and choice. Emotions are low resolution solutions that your body produces for problems your mind hasn't figured out yet. And when it comes to problems, you know what solves problems? Freedom of choice. You know what gets you freedom of choice? Making more money, creating more impact. Don't allow a no or an objection or being ghosted or someone not following up with you when they said they were. Don't allow it to rip through your sales confidence. Now, guys, the Circle the W methodology still applies to this podcast. How to stack the wins, how to stack the dubs. The step-by-step methodology that I use to transform my life post-cancer transformed my life emotionally intellectually, financially, spiritually, physically. Changed every single thing in my life, and I still use it till this day. That methodology is laid out at the end of the podcast. After Rick Ross, Hustlin', the music ends, there's the step-by-step framework, the 7 steps, what to buy, how to implement it, where to hang it, how to go through the RPM framework, how to actually create your actionable steps that are tied to the wants, needs, and desires of others, so you have the emotional drivers, so you have the dominant driving force in your life to get up out of bed and attack the day foaming at the mouth. That's all laid out at the end. So at the end of the podcast, if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know where to begin, then I want you to listen at the end of this podcast and you will get the steps. So now we're going to jump in to the contents of this podcast today. What we're going to do is I want to teach you how to prevent objections from ever happening using Neuro-Linguistics Programming, NLP. It's a topic that I absolutely love, that I've been talking on about this podcast since the day it began. Now, I want to teach you how to actually prevent objections and not how to overcome them. The number one question that I'm asked on a daily basis as a sales coach is, Nick, how do I overcome objections? Well, I can teach you how to do that. I can teach you how to summarize what you heard, validate the fear, and establish the need for the program. I can teach you how to logistically solve the objections. I can then teach you how to overcome fear-based objections. I can teach you how to overcome smokescreen objections. And if you work with me, yes, I will teach you those things. But more important to me is I'd rather teach you how to prevent them from ever happening in the first place. Wouldn't that be a lot better? Wouldn't that be a lot easier? And by the way, guys, when you say something like, how do I overcome objections? The word overcome by its nature is adversarial. It's going to put you in a mindset, in a state that you have to prove through logic and intellectual prowess why I'm right and you're wrong. It just creates sales pressure. As soon as you create sales pressure, the lead and the prospect is going to put up buying resistance. Guys, these are the laws of cause and effect. This is one of the 12 laws of the universe. So let's prevent them from happening by asking the right questions, being in the right state, having the right pre-call prep, doing the proper discovery, having the proper offer slides, having the proper pre-call guide so they know, like, and trust you and they know about your product before they ever get on the call. Has nothing to do with having to memorize a 25-page script on how to overcome one objection. Like, yes, again, we have those, we teach you that. But the point of today's podcast is to help you how to prevent objections from ever happening. Look, I said it myself. Whoops. So let's think about the Webster Dictionary definition of what an objection is. It's an expression or feeling of disapproval or opposition. It is a reason for disagreeing. So a lot of the times, guys, in your introduction, how you actually introduce yourself, the first 3 to 5 minutes, I can review your call and I can know what the objection is going to be from the first 3 to 5 minutes. A lot of you guys are asking the right questions, but they don't hit the emotional target because you're using the wrong tonalities. You don't know when to be curious or confused or challenging or concerned or playful. You don't know the right verbal cadences. You don't know how to power pause properly. You don't know the syntax in which to communicate properly. A lot of that stuff, guys, is causing the objections. So again, my number one goal today is to help you prevent objections from ever happening in the first place. Now, the birthplace of objections, that's the first thing that we need to understand. Where are these coming from? It's a little framework I came up with called NLP. N, you're not creating the gap. Write this down on your hand, write it on your mirror, write it on your forehead. I don't care. No gap, no sale. No gap, no sale. No gap, no sale. It's very easy. If you do not create point A and point B, and you do not know how to COI, leverage cost of an action, you're going to create objections. And the higher dollar amount, the higher the offer in price, the bigger and more painful the gap has to be. L, lack of reframing false beliefs. A lot of you do not reframe false beliefs or know how to do it. In fact, you guys go on to sales calls with your own false beliefs. So many of you are in sales and you allow people to get away with saying, I need to think about it, because you have to think about it every single time you have to make a big decision. A lot of you create the objection and do no reframing of false beliefs around the spouse, because every single purchase that you have to make, you have to ask your significant other. A lot of you create the objection for finances because you feel like you need to check your finances every time you make a buying decision. And let me remind you, like, who doesn't know how much is in their bank account? I don't know really anyone that doesn't know within a few dollars how much is in their bank accounts. And lastly, poor sales frameworks. You're just using some tired up, dusty sales framework that no longer works. That's a problem. So in order to stop that from happening, guys, we're going to get into part 1 today, because this is going to be a 3-part journey over the next 3 weeks, is the first part of this, which is identifying the wrong frameworks that you're most likely using. Now, there's 5 types of salespeople. There's a hard worker, there's the lone wolf, there's the challenger, there's the relationship builder, and there's the problem solver. Now, when I speak on stage, I ask the audience, or when I do coaching calls, I ask the clients, which one of these do you think is the best and most successful type of salesperson? And the majority of people just say, oh, the relationship builder. That's not really the truth. You have the hard worker, the guy's going to come in, he's going to work hard, he's going to prospect, he's going to do what he's told, he's going to do all the SOPs and fill out all the KPIs. Ain't him. The lone wolf is great to have on a sales team. Sometimes they can be your top performers, but they get burnt out and are impossible to manage. I was a lone wolf for quite some time. They can be successful, but long-term, they're just not. They end up getting fired. You have the problem solver. The problem solver is really just like a glorified customer service agent. It was a great framework back in the day, but it doesn't work anymore. And so, like, if we look at the history of sales, if we look at the brief history of sales, really, because these frameworks, haven't been around forever. Back in the 1950s, products were sold based on the product itself. Made in America, the famous word stamped, made in USA, features, advantages, and benefits of the product. 1980s, it went to what you guys know as like the boiler room or the Wolf of Wall Street or Wall Street type selling, opportunity-based selling. You still see this on car lots. You still see this on, furniture commercials or retailers. If you don't get down to the store quick enough, you're going to miss the opportunity of a lifetime. Creates like false scarcity and false urgency. People can smell that commission breath from a mile away. In the 2000s, we went to relationship-based selling. And relationship-based selling is, again, like trying to be someone's best friend. It's not the framework that works anymore. Past 2008, after the recession, what was identified on top-level sales teams and sales professionals is a framework called the Challenger Framework, or as I like to call it, leadership-based selling. That is what is important. You have to be able to challenge paradigms. You have to be able to challenge false beliefs. You have to know how to properly ask permission to challenge people. You have to know the right tonalities and the right facial expressions to match those tonalities when you do ask the question, so the question does hit the emotional target. That's the point of every question. But so many people are still using opportunity-based selling or relationship-based selling in 2024, and I'm telling you, it will close you some deals, but it's only going to close like the people who are going to buy regardless. Remember, everything works some of the time in sales. Even the things you're doing wrong will close the hot referrals or the hot leads that we're going to buy no matter what. But if you want more consistency and sustainability in your sales systems and processes, then you have to adopt leadership-based selling. Now, here's the big aha moment for you guys. The relationship and the purchasing decision have become decoupled. Write this down and listen to what I'm saying here. The customer relationship is a result, and it is not the cause of successful selling. It's not. Now, being great at sales and using the leadership style-based sales approach will give you success in selling. And then when they are your client and they are in your ecosystem, that is when the relationship begins. And the relationship and the connection that you form with them will then allow you to increase lifetime value, testimonials, getting referrals, and growing your business organically. And it's very simple, guys. Like, just answer this question. If you don't believe me, the two biggest retailers and sellers of products in the world is Amazon and Walmart. What relationship do you have with them? Who's your guy that you call for a better deal? There's no relationship there. None whatsoever. So if you want to master the leadership-based selling framework, you have to master these 3 skill sets. Guys, I want to point out that these are learned skill sets. Learned skill sets. No one is born naturally an amazing salesperson. These are learned. This is why we acquire knowledge. This is why you listen to this podcast. It's why you hire a sales coach like me, so I can teach you these skill sets. You're not failing in your business and selling practices. Your skill sets are failing. And never tie your sales confidence into your sales ability. You tie your sales confidence into your intention. And your intention should be to get on the phone or on the Zoom or the face-to-face sales and impact a life positively. If you can impact a life positively, you will be fulfilled. You will expand that person's container. You're going to pour into them. You're going to turn them from a pint-sized person into a 10-gallon person. Then when you watch them get results and have the aha, the epiphanic moments, it's going to be fulfilling. They're going to pour back into your cup, expanding your container, and you're going to get fulfillment. The second byproduct of impacting someone's life and being aligned in your thoughts, words, actions, and in your heart is income. That is the second byproduct of impact. But if you don't learn or level up your skill sets, you're never going to get there. You're just not. So the most important skill set for high-ranking, high-level salespeople is emotional stability. This is why one of the core tenets is seek answers first and not emotions. You have to learn how to swim in a sea of rejection. You have to learn how to deal with getting told no, getting on to the next call, and moving forward. Secondly, you have to be extroverted. You can't be a wet piece of cardboard that's monotone and completely boring and pessimistic and introverted. Now, you might be introverted in your own life. I'm naturally an introvert, but I know how to turn on showtime. I know how to be charismatic. I know how to help energize people. So you need to be extroverted. You have to learn how to turn it on. Lights, camera, action. Turn on the extroversion. And lastly, you need to learn the skill set of being assertive. Now, you can't be over posturing and be a jerk and a dick. You have to learn, again, how to properly ask permission to challenge people. But you can't allow leads and prospects to walk all over you with their false beliefs. You just can't. And you can't be a people pleaser. People pleasers are not good at negotiating for what they want. They don't know how to ask for what they want. Or they just don't do it at all because they feel as if they ask for what they want, they're going to upset the other person. And that is just a really bad false belief. On top of this, you have to learn how to influence people's states. State is a triad. You have a state, they have a state. You show up with a state, they show up with a state. Certain people are conditioned for failure. Certain people are conditioned for mediocrity. You have to influence their state out of that. Their state is what they're focusing on, their body language and physiology, and the meaning and the communication, the actual words that you're using in any interaction. So in order to influence their state, you have to first find out what influences them, both externally and internally. I laugh there because it's such a simple message and such a simple sentence, but people never take the time to figure out and ask the questions of what influences them. What's the motivation behind wanting to do this? Who's it going to impact when you do accomplish this? How's that going to feel? Next, in order to establish this leadership-based style of selling that prevents objections from happening, you have to be in the mindset of a world-class doctor. When Dr. Hemphill, my oncologist, walked into the room, he didn't say, "Hey, man, what's up, bro? So excited to see you today, King. Oh, man, you see all those people out there in the chemo ward? Don't worry about them, man. They're just like you. You're going to be just fine." He didn't say that. This man came in stoic. He came in calm, assertive, and confident. Calm, assertive, and confident. Calm, assertive, and confident. That is in the mind of a world-class doctor like Dr. Hemphill. He came in. He dug the pain. He got into the transformational level of my pain. Nick, you have cancer. He got possibility. Point B, he created a gap. What do you want, Nick? I want to live, doc, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to live. He then created the path from point A to point B, the pathology, the treatment. He laid down everything that I needed to be, that I had to show up, that I had to do the work, that I had to be actionable, that I couldn't skip a session. He dug into the pain. And because of that, I was willing to do whatever he told me to do. But if he comes in all willy-nilly and super nice and effervescent and trying to be my best friend, then I'm going to think he's a quack. I might have went the holistic route, because there's a lot of people knocking on my door trying to sell me things to do the holistic route when people find out that you have cancer. A lot of what you guys are doing is demonstration-based selling. And you have to understand the framework, but the difference between demonstration-based selling and diagnosis-based selling. Demonstration is what the lead and prospect hears is, "We have the best, we have the greatest modules, we're amazing, we have all these transformations, features and benefits of this and that, blah, blah, blah." In that frame, it's all about you. No. The method is like it's a show and tell. Look how amazing we are. The purpose of the call is for them or for you to prove your worthiness. The frame is they're now evaluating you and they're in control. That sounds like a terrible idea. That's an old framework, guys. Demonstration-based selling is an old framework. Again, in the mindset of a world-class doctor, you need to diagnose. Where does it hurt? How long have you been in pain? When did it first start? Tell me more about this. What's keeping you from being able to do X, Y, and Z? And you're collecting data. You're getting into the motivations. Why is it important that you solve this problem? Tell me about the time when you first looked down at the scale and you noticed this problem. It's all about them, the lead and the prospect. The method is you using skilled questions in the right tonality to hit the emotional targets so they have the emotional driver to make the decision and take action and get the result that they want. The purpose of the call is for you, the doctor, to understand the situation. The frame is you're now evaluating them, and the result is you're in control of the conversation. And that is where you want to be. Guys, this is going to conclude part 1 of how you prevent objections using NLP. Now, I also want to remind you guys that what we're talking about here is influence, persuasion, and communication. This shows up in every single area of your life. There's more than just sales objections. There's relationship objections. There's objections from our children. There's objections from our bosses. If you can learn how to do this in every relationship, you will have stronger relationships. This is how you build rapport. This is how you become more likable. This is how you become more trustworthy. So take this into consideration. It's not just going to show up on your sales calls. I want it to, but also apply this to every area of your life. Go out there, guys. Implement. Circle the W and win today.